Good afternoon, you lovely people. Hope you are all doing amazing. Here is yet another episode of the top 10 favorite and from what I believe are the best performances by some of the greatest actresses of all time. I am indeed commencing from 10 and then climbing up to number 1. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I have seen every film that is attainable of these artists, so all of these lists come from pure and passionate accuracy. Today I am ever so excited to talk about one of the most underrated and phenomenal actresses that has ever graced the stage, television, and film. Deborah Kerr. Born in Glasgow, Scotland, but raised in England, she was influenced as a child to go into the performing arts. She started in ballet, and in no time, she was working in theater. It's really amazing how with all the small independent films she was in, like Major Barbara, Hatter's Castle, and Love on the Dole, she was already becoming a star. But with her likeness on the front page of Picture Post saying, "Is this a new star?" MGM shortly, of course, thought it was appropriate to tag that on the front page as Kerr rhymes with star. This is classic Hollywood with grooming more female stars for the public, right? Of course, it's extremely dangerous when audiences' expectations on these artists are held so high that when things go differently in their personal lives, the audience blows up. But for Deborah Kerr here, there was really nothing majorly controversial about her. There were some headlines about casting, which I'll get to later, but Deborah Kerr had always led such an amazing example of staying consistent with great work and maintaining the utmost professionalism with class and elegance. She is without a doubt an artist I could do a top 20 of, no question. But you all should know the rules by now. And we love honoring the rules, right? Well, sometimes. I need to say, this list was extremely difficult to put together, folks, because Deborah Kerr is an actress like no other to me. The quality of her work continues to inspire upcoming actresses to this day. Even though, spoiler alert, she has been nominated for 6 Academy Awards, but has never won once. An absolute crime, in my opinion. She did receive a well-deserved honorary Oscar in 1994 for her work, with a citation that describes her wonderfully as an artist of impeccable grace and beauty, whose career has always stood for perfection, discipline, and elegance. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready because here are the top 10 best performances of the beautiful and underrated Deborah Kerr. Starting off at number 10, we have The King and I, Getting to Know You. Sorry. Most likely the number 1 most popular film people recognize her for, right? I'm sure this is very surprising for all of you, but like I said, this was very difficult because she has too many amazing performances. But there's nothing like starting it off with one of the greatest classic movie musicals, like The King and I. And Deborah Kerr's leading Academy Award nominated performance as Anna is so iconic. Every scene with her co-star, the vibrant Yul Brynner, is just gold. Yul Brynner insisted on casting Deborah Kerr as Anna because she just exuded grace, intelligence, confidence, beauty, and with a little spunkiness. Of course, we all know 95% of her singing was dubbed by the great Marni Nixon, who would go on and dub Audrey Hepburn and Natalie Wood, respectively. But the studio didn't want anyone to know that Deborah Kerr really wasn't, doing her own singing. And if it was revealed in the press, Marni Nixon would be out of a freaking job. But Deborah Kerr said, "Don't worry about it," and literally name-dropped Marni's name in the press that she played a significant role in singing. And Marni Nixon has said she probably would not have had a career if it weren't for Deborah. And I just love the transparency and the honesty that Deborah really had behind that whole ordeal. Number 9, Black Narcissus. Based on a 1939 novel, it tells the story of a group of nuns led by Deborah Kerr who are called to build up a school and hospital in an old colorful palace on the mountaintop in the Himalayas. As time progresses, tension grows and grows between the nuns, especially with Sister Ruth and Sister Clodagh. played by Kerr. They have to save the dignity of their cause before all hell breaks loose. This film is true to being a visually beautiful and groundbreaking masterpiece of cinematography. If you've seen this film, you know exactly what I mean with Jack Cardiff's cinematography. Filming this in a frickin' park in England and subbing the background with matte paintings. It is amazing with what they did with this film. But the film would not be as complete if the performances weren't guiding us along the deep journey. Deborah Kerr's beautiful portrayal of the repressed nun who is doing everything she can to build the best school and hospital for the people, while she is experiencing some painful and yet joyful memories of her own love story. This movie is indeed a love story, finding the true love that awakens your soul and keeps you on the path of the bright future you wish to earn, whether your true love is a womanizer or Jesus himself. There are so many layers to break down in this film, and Deborah Kerr gives all of her grace to this performance, which is why it is every filmmaker's lovejoy these days, which thank God it is, because of how much it stands as far as being visually but also emotionally captivating. Number 8, The Innocence. Oh my God, one of the most underrated thriller and chillers ever. Based on Henry James' story, The Turn of the Screw, it tells the story of a woman taking a job as a governess for a boy and a girl of a Victorian home. And slowly but surely, she starts experiencing supernatural, paranormal activity and believes the children play a part in conceiving the ghostly apparitions. But the question is it really happening? Or is it all of her imagination? This is indeed a dream role for artists, wrestling with what is true and what is not true, what is a figment of your imagination, or what is reality. Is this woman going mad, or is the activity really surrounding her? Deborah Kerr said this was one of the more difficult roles of her whole career, and it's easy to see why, but you also see why she received massive praise for her performance here. When you look into her eyes, you are right alongside her wave of confusion and despair. It is a total creep factor from beginning to end, and it really kind of was out of the ordinary for this to be in her filmography. I mean, we just talked about The King and I, but her performance here was so impactful to me that honestly, without her commitment and work in this film, and the realism that she brought to this, I don't think we would have received a performance like Nicole Kidman's in The Others, which for sure is inspired and very much in the same wavelength, and if not really a remake of this film here. Number 7, The End of the Affair. The original 1955 film adaptation of Graham Greene's classic novel, which really struck me when I first saw it. It tells the story of a writer who is honorably discharged from the army during the tail end of World War II, and then meets Sarah, a married woman of a civil servant, who are immediately attracted and then take the plunge to start a passionate affair. War makes you do messed up things, man. The layer within this is that Sarah knows this is wrong, but she has been awakened by a new attraction, a new hope. But the principles of right and wrong speak even louder, so she needs to end this affair. The battle for the writer to win her love continues on, and we learn the deeper reason why she needs to end it. This is a film about faith, absolutely, but it's a very powerful piece because of the earnestness and the heartbreaking actions of Deborah Kerr here. I honestly was not expecting to be affected by it as much as I am, but since Deborah Kerr represents a troubled past here and battling for redemption, even though the human spirit longs for the easy way out, I think it was simple for me to get connected with it, like I do every time I see this film. Deborah Kerr's British Academy Award nominated performance here should definitely seal that deal of seeing this film. Number 6, Separate Tables. Deborah Kerr's 5th Academy Award nomination for Best Actress, which was very well deserved. She plays Sybil, a downtrodden daughter of Mrs. Railton Bell, played brilliantly by Gladys Cooper, and the two are staying at the Hotel Beauregard in South England, with many different guests coming in and out, including Major Pollock, played by David Niven, of whom she develops a lovely relationship with. some nasty business about Major Pollock shows up in the paper. No, I will not give it away if you haven't seen it. But that sends Sybil in such a whirlwind, and she starts questioning the whole foundation of trust with people, not to mention the pretty abusive relationship she already has with her own mother. Deborah Kerr is absolutely heartbreaking in this soap opera of an adaptation of Terence Rattigan's hit Broadway play. You could definitely see Kerr's power and ability of body language here, making Sybil so meek and trapped within her own life that she tries so hard to gain strength by the very end. I love that moment when she gets the paper and she finds out what's going on with Major Pollock. Her reaction alone got her that Oscar nod for sure. The film itself is pretty mixed, so I for sure recommend this film for the performances. Especially, you know whose. Number 5, Edward, My Son. Deborah Kerr's first Academy Award nomination for Best Actress here, which honestly catapulted her to the big time. She was already becoming a great star at this point, but the result of her Oscar nomination out of this definitely elevated her among her peers. If Separate Tables is a mixed bag, this is a mismatched bag for sure. Nothing against Spencer Tracy here, he is one of my true and dear favorites. But he was just clearly miscast here as a Canadian father living in England, without an English accent mind you, trying his best to provide the best life for his troubled and later diseased son, with his wife Evelyn, played by Kerr, giving her love as well, but greed and power took over Tracy's heart, which takes things in a devastating turn. No spoilers, I promise. This is yet another adaptation of a classic English play, and I would love to see this play done again, because even though it's entitled Edward, My Son, we never see Edward. He is only talked about, and the real action comes from the parents and from the supporting characters helping the parents along with the narrative. Kerr steals this whole film, and that's an honorable thing, which honestly I think that one of the reasons she received the Oscar nomination, completely taking it from everyone's favorite, Spencer Tracy, who was like the actor. Her decline in becoming an alcoholic in this film is so real and so genuine. She's honestly the only real reason to check out this film. So, that's your recommendation right there, peeps. Number 4, The Sundowners. Oh crikey, a sleeper hit for sure. This was Deborah Kerr's 6th Academy Award nomination for Best Actress here, and honest to God, she should have won for this one. I mean, come on, Elizabeth Taylor for Butterfield 8? Really? Love Liz Taylor, but come on. You know what's really funny? Deborah herself revealed in her memoir, Not Just an English Rose, that she thought she should have won too. That's right, Deborah. Anyway, Deborah rocks an Australian accent as the mother, wife, and leader of a sheep driver family, Ida. She wants so much to settle down, but her husband, Paddy, played brilliantly as well by Robert Mitchum, has some ill habits that can potentially keep them from having a secure life. The chemistry between Robert Mitchum and Deborah Kerr, oh my gosh, it's just so alive and so beautiful here. I mean, this is their second film together. And of course, there was always a bit of an infatuation between these two. But it totally shows, and it makes their Paddy and Ida just blossom through such a train wreck of communication. The movie itself, I'll admit, it's a little tedious. There are quite a number of landscape shots and background tracking shots that just aren't that interesting. But, the performances indeed make it all worth it, including the what should have been an Oscar-winning performance from Deborah Kerr. Number 3, Tea and Sympathy. A beautiful piece of work, I assure you. Adapted from the Broadway play by Robert Anderson, with Kerr recreating the role she originated as Laura Reynolds, the wife of a prep school coach who develops such empathy for a new senior who is such an, how should we say, an outsider because of how much he does not fit in the machismo and masculine boy setting. Over the course of the narrative, we see Laura give all her attention and care to this boy, played by John Kerr, no relation, which tests the boundaries of marriage, consent, but most of all, sexual identity. The story is breathtaking, and for it to be originally released in 1953, My God, the film was only made 3 years later. And still, this piece was still quite groundbreaking, because it was one of the first plays to share the troubles of many male youths battling their sexual identity and facing prejudice. Deborah Kerr is utterly divine. This came out the same year as The King and I, and she was nominated for Best Actress for that one, but honestly, I believe this performance is much more worthy given to the sensitivity, yet dangerous qualities she gave to Laura. The producers had to cut down on the homosexuality due to the production code, of course, which makes the film much weaker than the original play. But if you get the chance, definitely do yourself a favor and see this for yourself. Despite of what, of course, the classics do at this time with the production code, and in these cases, Deborah Kerr still shines beautifully in this very sensitive and very poignant and very engaging story that really needs to be seen and is really worth telling again. Number 2, An Affair to Remember. Yes, indeed. Get the tissues out if you haven't already. Considered to be one of the most romantic films of all time, and deservedly so. It stars everyone's favorite couple in this case, Cary Grant and Deborah Kerr, as passengers on an ocean liner who meet quite unexpectedly, and over the course of the time, fall in love with each other. But no, they mustn't. They are betrothed to someone else. But after they experience such a lovely time with each other, especially meeting Cary's grandmother, come on, they will make the ultimate test. They will meet at the top of the Empire State Building. If they truly do want to be together, do they meet? Oh, I can't tell you if you haven't seen it. Sincerely, the first time I saw this when I was a kid, I was like, it's nice. I see it when I'm 30, and again just recently, I'm bawling my eyes out by the very end. I know, Rita Wilson, I know. It's just so damn beautiful. Seriously, I don't know if you all really understand the emotional impact this film made, and still makes today. So much that it inspired the ever so classic Sleepless in Seattle. And by the way, this was a remake of the other classic, Love Affair, starring Irene Dunne and Charles Boyer. Makes sense, right? Why this is so high for me is because Deborah Kerr is just pitch perfect in this film. And it is without a doubt one of her strengths. A beautiful romance drama for the ages. Now, here are just a couple of honorable mentions. The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, where Deborah Kerr plays 3 different characters. 3 different characters. And so unbelievably effective. This film is also known as one of the greatest, if not the greatest British film ever made. Obviously, I'm not British, so I really can't make that call. But it is very indeed, very fun. Being a British satire, and the themes of what it means to be British are just so deep here. I See a Dark Stranger. This is definitely a film that deserves to be remade, based on its themes of ideals, pride, and politics. Kerr plays a young Irish nationalist who wants to sign up for the Irish Republican Army, or IRA, but she's denied because of her extremist goals of being a leader of the Irish Revolution, just like her father was. But then she gets tossed into being a Nazi spy. Twists and turns galore, and quite frankly, I enjoyed the hell out of Kerr's naivete and the drive that she gave to this role. Vacation for Marriage, another film that pleasantly surprised me, starring Kerr and Robert Donat as a dull married couple, where the husband really has lost interest in her. And with their enlistment in the British military separating them, they start discovering grander things about themselves. So much that they grow in confidence and ideals, Kerr's character much more so, which could either bring them back together or end their marriage altogether. This is truly a fantastic film, and keep in mind, Kerr was still barely a household name at this point, and she holds her own magnificently with the popular Donat here. Highly recommend this one. Heaven Knows, Mr. Allison. Kerr's 4th Academy Award nomination for Best Actress, of course, and without a doubt, it is a classic. This is the first of 4 collaborations with the underrated Robert Mitchum, and was the beginning of indeed a beautiful friendship. Kerr pulls out the habit again, and this time around, we feel an even bigger sensitivity for Sister Angela. And what I love about this film is that it really focuses on opposite people, one of faith and one who is a soldier, but is completely not of faith, getting along and trying to work together as they each hide from the Japanese in the midst of World War II. It is very much a story about opposites attracting and working together, and I always love stories like that. Very lovely. The Chalk Garden. My mother would kill me if I didn't have this on here. But absolutely, this film is so heart-wrenching and so engaging from the very beginning that we really feel very much for Carr's character as a new governess taking care of the spoiled and very disturbed brat that is Hayley Mills. Carr gives her best damn poker face throughout every scene as we peel each layer of her character as Miss Madrigal. By the time we get to a somewhat reveal of what she did in her past, she does not have to act, which she doesn't. She just fully embodies the actions of her past, which we do not fully know if she committed them or not. Damn, she is absolutely brilliant. And like I said, people, the whole entire list here was extremely difficult. Yes, I know there are a whole bunch of dramas on here, but hey, you can't deny the fact that she made amazing dramas. You really can't. This is definitely a performance that is sure to grab you right from the very start. And if you're new to Carr's work, definitely see her in this one. Number 1, From Here to Eternity. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, oh yes. I am sure this is quite a surprise since Deborah Kerr is not 100% the star here, but I will give you my thought-provoking reasons now on why this indeed is her best performance. Deborah Kerr, as stated various times before here, was always the elegant British star. Every role she has inhabited were very idealistic, very proper, very much the damsel, and the studio wanted Joan Crawford in the role of Karen Holmes here, a sexy, adulterous military wife of a captain in Hawaii, who develops even bigger affections for Burt Lancaster's character. The studio, especially producer Harry Cohn, thought casting Deborah Kerr was ludicrous. This prim and proper lady as Karen? But Deborah Kerr lobbied for this role. She wanted something to sink her teeth into. No pun intended. She wanted to get out of the trap of being typecast. I mean, how could you blame her? Fred Zinnemann, the amazing director, decided to take a chance and cast her. And after the studio saw a couple of the dailies, good God, were they surprised. I mean, do we really have to mention that famous embrace on the beach just as the tide rushes in to Burt Lancaster and Deborah? Oh yes, of course we do. That whole sequence is just so damn sexy. I remember first seeing this film when I was about 15 years old, and quite right, Deborah Kerr was definitely a big crush. Deborah Kerr just gave this character so much movement, so much within body language. A lot of it was in the hips and the pelvis, which is exactly where a lustful person lives, in the power source of the pelvis, right? And then add on the fact that she had to perfect an American accent, which you never really hear again in any of her other films. She really had a lot riding on her career if she was not successful here, and the results, without a doubt, speak for themselves. She was much more than just a lustful slut here. She was a woman who had been denied, forgotten, avoided by her own husband. As a military wife, it's already a rough life, and she needed more in life. She sought for meaning during a time when it was very hard to receive it. And when Burt Lancaster comes onto the scene, oh, how the fireworks shine. But she makes him work for it. And every single scene they have, oh, they are just on fire with sex. I mean, look at that scene when they're together at the bar. And the way she kisses his fist. So hot. If you haven't noticed, this is one of my favorite films as well. And Deborah Kerr played such a big role in this film to give hope to female actors, to believe in versatility. Kerr has said that this was one of the other more challenging roles of her career, and after her performance in this film, She was then on known as a powerful, versatile actress, and the meteor roles could make their way over to her. Not to mention her second Academy Award nomination for Best Actress here. If you have not seen From Here to Eternity, where have you been all your life? No, guys, please see this. I would even go to say it is really a tremendous date movie as well. Deborah Kerr had such an illustrious career, and as I said earlier, she really went her whole life with no real controversy. I mean, sure, she has experienced divorce with children involved, and yes, she could curse like a sailor. But that does not discredit her as a hard-working, committed, and passionate and inspirational woman of strength. Through all of her elegance and class, she had ideals and morals about her, which had shaped all of her characters in such a righteous perspective. She basically retired from Hollywood in the late 60s because she didn't really agree with where Hollywood was going. It was getting violent, y'all. Plus, she has stated she came to Hollywood to act, but instead she was made to be high-minded, long-suffering, white-gloved, and decorative. And I completely understand that, as which she wanted to really sink into roles that were real, that were grounded, and had such substance to them, and just like Hamlet, hold a mirror up to nature. So she carried forward in the love of theater, and later on, television, which she thrived in as well. She still holds the records for most Oscar nominations in the leading role without a single win. Thank God she earned an honorary Oscar for her work. Oscar-winning director William Wyler has said that, "If Audrey Hepburn is the princess, then Deborah Kerr is the queen." That she is. She is definitely an actress no one should ever forget, that people should really keep on the forefront and remember the power of which she had. And as I quote her Laura Reynolds from Tea and Sympathy, even though they are not in the same context at all, years from now, when you talk about her, and you will, be kind. Done and done, ladies and gentlemen. Please tell me, did I miss any of your personal favorites? What are some of your favorite performances from this incredible artist that really deserves more attention? Please list in the comments below. I sincerely would love to read your thoughts and your passion. If you like this, please click like, share this with all your friends, subscribe, ring the bell, stay updated for more to come, which there will, I promise you. And in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. And remember, please keep the classics alive.